and welcome to Not All Fire. I'm Jude Evans.
And I'm Joe Hart.
And this week, I promise you, we're doing a video episode.
Is that what you look like, Jude?
Oh, Joe.
At last we do a video episode. I've told that joke a few times now, haven't I?
You have.
Yeah, it all went a bit wrong last week, didn't it?
What we realised is that when we have the logo on a really bright television behind us, it affects how all the movement comes. And so basically what happened was we looked like we were doing the robot dance for the entire podcast. So sadly, it's gone into the special files.
It has, yeah, onto the cutting room floor. But this should work this week, which means we're now a video podcast. Is there a different name for a video podcast, or is it just a podcast with an associated clips with it as well?
I think it's a podcast with video.
Nice.
We are obviously sadly not together. I am back in my normal hotel room down in Essex. You're in your office because that's kind of how we roll.
Yeah, it's 7:20 at night. Where else would I be other than in the office?
It's a Tuesday, which is good, also quite good. We're kind of trying to get this normality. Although I started out in Guildford this morning and went Guildford, Newbury, Southampton, Brentwood. So I have driven all the miles, but I've had a fun day. So that's good.
That Southampton's a bit of an outlier, isn't it? You've had to go a long old way and then back on yourself, haven't you? Bloody hell.
Yeah, I haven't started. Well, I haven't. I had a new, as we talked about last week. Chris started with us yesterday as my trainee fire engineer.
Very good.
We had a lovely day. Hi, Chris. We had a lovely day yesterday. I think I probably started 25 different things and may have finished 3 of them with him. We're still having massive IT issues, which I think were caused by me about 15 years ago when I set up all of our internet. Microsoft will sort it out eventually. That's what they're there for. So he's with us, which is very exciting.
Very good. Very exciting indeed.
What have you been up to today?
What have I been doing? I've just come out of an IFE committee meeting just before we went on air tonight. Before that, sat at my desk. Before that, I was on site in Liverpool. Actually, I've been on a slight tour today. It's not so far. It's only about 40 minutes from home, Liverpool. But
Roger's been in Liverpool today as well.
Has he?
Yeah.
There we go. Well, I've been
doing fire risk assessments.
School retrospective fire strategy for me. I was on site with my colleague Ben. So that was quite fun. And then this week, do you know I've got a full 5 days at my desk, apart from a little jaunt out today. Oh, and tomorrow morning on site as well. Forget about that bit where I said I'm at my desk for 5 days. I'm not.
What did the Romans ever give us? Yes, I mean I am very much doing an entire tour of the entire south and southeast because I'm in Basildon and Norwich tomorrow, and then I'm in Ely on Thursday. I'm doing heritage stuff, which is very exciting.
Ooh, nice. Hey, heritage stuff. We got to touch on the webinar from last week, so I know you were there, weren't you?
We did. Myself and Roger were sitting watching it in the office. Most of our friends of the show, I think, were also watching it. So it was
good turnout. What was that? Last Tuesday. Yeah, it was last Tuesday. Wasn't it?
Last Tuesday.
So we didn't touch on it because we'd recorded on Monday. So yeah, we had the webinar last week for about heritage fire safety. We had 350 people turn up, which was our biggest webinar we've ever done. So that was a nice turnout.
I'm going to say most of the people that turned up for the webinar were also there for the half-hour preamble as well.
Yes, they were. Now we do this early careers session. That's worth pointing out, and it's something I brought into the webinars at the IFE about a year ago. So we do a little what we call a warm up, and it's partly for the delegates, so you don't get lost in the main session. So if we call it early careers because if it's your first time on the subject, you get half an hour of just additional content, which is useful. But also as a presenter, it's a nice warm up for you, genuinely, to just get into the flow of things, and you get it, and you get a little 5-minute break. So yeah, one of our metrics we track at the branch with the webinars is what's the conversion rate from the early careers to the main session. Do we lose anyone? Do we gain people? What's the thing? And it was pretty stable this week, actually, or this month. So we had about 300 on for the first session, and then we got to about 350, and it always fluctuates a little. We landed on 330 at the end, but yeah, really good session. I enjoyed it a lot.
That was good.
A lot of interaction after, actually.
Good.
Clearly a really pertinent topic for people in industry as well. So yeah.
Well, I think it is. I think it's a bit like the retrospective fire strategies. Chris and I sat and watched your retrospective fire strategy one yesterday, and basically we just kept stopping it, discussing points, and then doing it again, and then discussing more points. So that's something else we didn't finish, because it was one of those days. So, but I mean, all of the things, anything to do with retrospective fire strategies or heritage buildings, it's the kind of thing that not everybody gets to play with new buildings.
True. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and some of the best connections I've had post that webinar are people, for example, who work for the National Trust as a fire risk assessor, or people that work in just heritage organisations that look after them. They've reached out and said, "Oh, that's cool." In fact, I've been invited to observe a salvage operation in February, to go and see a live demonstration of it and I'm going to write an article about it and that was off the back of the webinar. Yeah. I suppose, Jude, since you've twisted my arm and forced me, you are literally forcing my hand at this point. I might as well do a plug for the webinars. For anyone who doesn't know, I do it every week, but what the webinar series is every month I do a session for the IFE, and it's on a fire engineering topic. This month has been heritage. Next month we've got a guest talking about Defective Premises Act, which is very useful for
advertised.
Something we're going to talk about tonight.
Oh yes.
This case with Balfour Beatty. Defective Premises Act is relevant to that. I'm doing the early careers bit, just talking about fire safety law. Month after is March, probably. I think we're doing introduction to CFD. So it's a cool little series. We do it kind of intro to CFD, selling well. I mean, I say sell, it's all free, but like lots of people interested in that topic.
Again, it's something that if you're on the periphery of fire engineering adjacent, as we like to say.
Yeah.
I don't do any CFD as part of my role. I class myself as pretty much a fire engineer. I'm not fire engineering adjacent, but I don't do CFD. I don't need to in my position. Occasionally somebody will ask for something like that, but it doesn't come up massively for a lot of what I do.
Yeah.
But it is still really, really useful. It's still really good to see. And it's really visual and people like it.
They do. It's quite an easy thing to present on because it's lots of nice glossy images. It's more interesting than presenting.
Show the videos.
Legal something or other. That's a bit of a tricky gig to talk about. Hey, talk about fire safety law, and it's oh gosh, I've got to do an hour on it, and it's a tricky one. But I get a log of who signed up to these things, and the heritage one there was actually about 500 people signed up, and we always get a conversion of about 75% actually turn up on the day. And it was across the sector. It was engineers, risk assessors, architects, building control, blah 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 blah. Cool. Bit of everyone, which was awesome. Yeah. For CFD, it's really heavily weighted to the approvers. It's fire service and building control, because of course they are adjacent to it. They receive the reports. They need an introduction to it because they need to see, how do I interpret this random gobbledygook that an engineer sent me that's got pictures and code and
here's a big spreadsheet of numbers. Here's some pictures that are kind of blue and red and green. Yeah. What does it mean?
Exactly. Yeah. So we've got a really high proportion of approvers, which I love presenting to, because that's what I do in my day job. My day job is presenting to approvers, right? So I quite like doing it when I'm doing the webinars.
Oh, cool.
So anyway, there's my plug for the week. What else am I doing? What else can I plug at the moment? I've got a book out at some point.
When are you going to Belfast? When are you going to Belfast?
Oh yeah, I'm there next week actually. Oh yeah, no, cool. I'm doing a talk in Belfast, aren't I? Next week I'm going there.
I'm so glad I'm still your PA. It's absolutely fine.
I'm in Belfast next week doing a talk about various things. Can't remember what I'm talking about. But I'm over at Ulster Uni.
Hayley. He'll have written it by then, I'm sure.
Hayley, no promises. Be writing it on the flight over. The flight's only about half an hour, so
why change that bit of a load?
No, I'm talking about DESIR over there, which I'm very excited about. Taking my colleague who does our DESIR assessments. I'm
going to say Steve. They're all Steve, aren't they?
Yeah, I've got a lot of Steves in my team. Part of the job description, join the team, change your name to Steve.
Change your name to Steve.
But no, Steve and I are going over to talk about DESIR, and I'm also going to do a talk about fire strategies as well. I'm doing a disproportionate amount of work in Northern Ireland at the moment, which is really cool, and disproportionate only because I've done very little throughout my career, and in the last month I've landed about half a dozen jobs, so I'm actually quite excited to go over. I'm going to meet a client whilst I'm over there, which will be fun, and then I'm going straight from there.
Transport IA.
Well, fly to London, do a site visit, and then fly over to LA and spend 10 days there. So my next couple of recordings for this show will be Chaos. I was going to say where I was going to be, but let's just land on chaos. I'll be in Belfast, then I'll be in LA for 2 episodes, I think. But
we will
anyway.
We will try and do it. There might be views. It might be the middle of the night for one of us.
Yes. My backdrop might change entirely. It won't be quite as glossy as this. I'm not promising the Hollywood Hills, but it might be middle of the night in an airport lounge somewhere.
I mean, we've had worse.
We have.
I'm now thinking again, because we can't edit particularly well the video. I have to remember that I can't just stop and condor thought. So the news. Terrible fire at the weekend on Sunday in Karachi, in Pakistan. 21 people died, and one of them was a firefighter. It's a really interesting site. I think there's 1,400. So 1,200 stores, not 1,400 stores, 1,200 stores, which might be small stores to large stores, in 8,000 square meters.
Ooh, that's like really small. This was like a shopping mall, wasn't it? But
shopping mall, yeah.
And you say 1,200 units.
1,200 stores in 8,000 square meters. So some of them are tiny. We're
not
talking
big
about
floor plate.
Literally teeny. If you've been out there, if you've been out, Africa has some similar kind of malls. Certainly all over Asia does. Where you get these tiny little shops that are literally 1 meter, 2 meters wide and only go back a little bit, and they're full of staff, and there's literally just somebody sitting there. Sometimes there's food halls, sometimes there's clothing. Literally, you can buy anything, absolutely anything there. And one of the statistics that I heard on the news on, I think it was yesterday, Monday evening when I was driving down. There's 20 million people in Karachi. They have 30 fire stations,
which is just coconuts, isn't it? Really.
So I was like, that seems quite disproportionate. So I googled. I asked the internet, how many fire stations we have in the UK, in London. Sorry, how many fire stations do we have in London? And we have 102 land stations and 1 river station. So okay, we've got 102, 103 fire stations. There's 9.5 million people in London.
What, and remind me the numbers in Karachi. There was 30 stations for 20
million people.
Wow.
So twice the number of people live in Karachi, and they've got a third of the fire stations.
Do you know, I've just had a thought actually, which is, I wonder what the population density is in those two cities. Because of course a fire station will often cover a geographical area, won't it? And I know in that part of the world that they have really high population densities. I wonder if it's tightly packed together, and it doesn't take account of the fact that you also have the risk of a massively higher population and probably higher rise buildings and all that, smaller units and things. In addition to that, because those numbers are crazy. 30 fire stations.
Apparently, according to the internet, because this is very much how we do this, Karachi is one of the world's most densely populated cities, with estimates around 25,000 people per square kilometre.
Oh, bloody hell. 25,000 people per square kilometre. I
now need to find out what London is, because I'm like, that seems really, really high.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's just a giant number, which is shocking to me, but I need a benchmark. So, yeah, what's London's?
Population density for London is 5,800 people per square kilometre. So there are 5 times as many people living in the space of London.
And 5 times fewer fire stations. Okay, hang on. We're doing this live and it's on a video, which makes it even more stressful.
Well,
so
it's 30 fire stations as opposed to 100 fire stations, and there's 20 million people rather than 9 million people.
Yeah.
And there's 25,000 people per square kilometre rather than 6,000 people per square kilometre. That's really dense. That's an awful lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of tall buildings in Karachi. There's an awful lot of tall buildings with small rooms.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's quite
really interesting stat. So what happened at this fire on Saturday? So it started in a unit in this shopping mall, did it?
Yeah, I mean, if you want something else that's really scary, in the centre of Karachi, the density is at 55,000 people per square kilometre. I don't even know how that works.
So that's 10 times what it is in London. Yeah. And London's crammed when you're there. Bloody hell. Wow. 55,000 people per square kilometre is incredible.
That's in the centre.
Yeah.
So, yes, wow. I mean, yeah, it's It's the third largest in Asia, and it's the 12th largest city in the world.
Yeah.
According to the internet. Thank you, the internet. It's mad, isn't it? And because I know that one of the things they were saying is on the news is the politicians were saying that's not enough fire stations.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking back to the fact that we're starting to get there's just been a big thing down in the southwest, hasn't there, where they've said they're not going to close a load of fire stations around Swindon and around Wiltshire area. So, and you sit there and you think, we're saying we don't have enough fire stations in this country.
Yeah.
And the trade unions are looking at going on strike to stop stations closing and to try and increase people coming up. And then you've got somewhere like Karachi, which is, as we just said, the 12th largest city in the world.
Yeah.
That has 30 fire stations.
Yeah. Gosh, that's incredible.
It is quite. I was quite stunned when I heard it on the news.
No, I'm trying to picture it, and then I'm thinking about what standards of firefighting there are, because I don't know it at all, so I don't know what standards of firefighting there would be. It makes me think of something I want to show you. Actually, I've got this firefighting thing which I can show you on camera because we've got cameras now this week. So I'll show you that when we move on from this story. But talking about standards of firefighting and what firefighting technology is, because I've worked a tiny bit in that part of the world, and when you say a fire station in the UK, I can broadly picture what that is. It's kind of,
There's 4 openings, and behind some big doors there's some fire engines, and it's probably 2 stories, and it's brick, and there's a thing out the back where people climb up and down, and
a pretty good definition of a fire station.
A fire station.
Yeah, pretty good. But I know from that part of the world, having worked there a little bit, that their fire provisions are not always the same. So number of stations doesn't necessarily correlate to increasing safety. It might be that it's different types of stations, etc.
Well, it's like in South America, isn't it? Where when you have a tower block say for example in Brazil, where you have a tower block in Brazil, you have fire marshals in that tower block, residents that have been trained to be fire marshals.
Yeah.
So it's a different type of fire safety.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, can I deviate and talk to you about my firefighting thing then? Because it's just very pertinent to what we're talking about. So you can see behind me here, I'm in our kind of hub room, which is a bit of our staff room really in the office because it was the quietest room. And these are my firefighting patterns that we've collected. I think you've seen these, Jude, haven't
I have.
you?
So over time, there in the corner.
There's an axe up there in the corner. These are just random patterns we've collected over the years. So 1850 something for the hat and stuff like that for the helmet. But I've got this new thing, and I might take you for a wander to go find it. Do you fancy a tour? A live tour?
Your tour is better than my tour of my hotel room, so...
Yes. So this was a gift. I don't know if this will work, but let's go for a walk, shall we? This is my staff room. Welcome. That's the dartboard where we all fall out with each other.
It'll work for all the people watching on video. It won't work for us, the rest of us who listen to it, because.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, I'm going to describe this thing to you, but I'm going to pull it up so I can show you it live. I'm going to go back to my desk.
First, you'll get very happy about the fact that you're going to make the dogs bark.
Oh yes, if the dogs start barking, do forgive me. So it's a frame. I'm going to grab it from my desk and take it back to where we were recording just then. So this was a gift from one of my team at the Christmas party, so just a few weeks ago. And this was from Steve, who found a newspaper clipping. And he got it all framed up, and it's to go on the wall in my office. It's not up just yet. So, I'll get that back down. Bear with.
It's not you being the clean monster, is it?
The clean monster.
Oh, what was it?
Mr. Clean,
Mr. Clean.
You know, is what the Lancashire Evening Post called me. Not the clean monster, Jude. Not called a monster in the local press. Not yet. Right, this is a thing, okay, and I'll show you briefly on screen there, and then I'll read it to you, right? So this is a newspaper article from...
Oh, can I guess?
Yes, I'll be impressed, but yes.
Is it the warehouse fire in London, where they went from being the insurances?
It's not. Tooley Street fire, are you thinking?
That's the one. Tooley Street.
It's not that. No, it's a good guess though.
Was that a good guess though?
Very good guess, yeah.
I do know some things.
You do. I'm very impressed. Right, this is a genuine newspaper, and I've pulled it out of the frame, and on the back there is a newspaper. It's like obituary. So this is genuinely cut out from a real newspaper from 1872. From the Illustrated London News. Okay.
Oh, nice.
And the title of the headline of it, the title of the article is called "The New Fire Escape." right? And basically what it is they had trialled a new type of fire escape ladder in 1872 in London. And the escape ladder itself was a wheeled escape ladder. So it'd go on the back of the appliance, they wheel it out, it's a 50-foot ladder, different extension pieces of it up to 60 foot.
Oh,
so it's
hang on, 50
high
foot.
rise. 60 foot is 18 metres, 50 foot is
15 metres, 16 metres?
15 and a bit, isn't it? Yeah, something like that, I think, about 15 metres, right? And what the innovation was that they've reported on here is underslung to the ladder, so hanging from the underneath of it, is an escape chute made of copper wire. And the way that they would evacuate people using this technology is they would carry them down, the fly ladder as it's called, pop them in the chute and then just slide them down. And this is an article of them testing it in the middle of London. Okay, so there's the image there. So that's...
Oh my goodness.
How well can you see it? So that's the thing being underslung.
Yep.
There we are. That's the firefighters from the Metropolitan Fire Brigade at the time, not called LFB at the time, but this is the origins of the London Fire Brigade, testing this at Lambeth Hill. And the article finishes by saying it was a perfect success, quote, perfect success. And that the London Fire Brigade, Metropolitan Fire Brigade, ordered 40 of those for high-rise firefighting in 1872. How cool is that? It's amazing. So that's going to go on the wall here with the rest of these, I think. But that was technology in 1872. That's amazing.
I like the fact
50
that
years ago.
High-rise firefighting, and the ladder goes 15 metres.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Oh, it's incredible. I love.
That's cool, though.
I love history, and I love history of firefighting more than any other type of firefighting. I really do. So.
It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool little thing. So I'm researching that now. Whenever I get a little bit of a morsel of information, I've got to research it. So I'm trying to track down one of the original ladders and see if I can get a go at it and stuff. So yeah, how cool is that? A little bit of history of London firefighting.
Well, there's bound to be in museums. Essex has got a really good fire service museum I think it's on Canvey Island.
Oh, have they? I put a LinkedIn thing out sharing that and saying if it's of use to anyone here, and I got a few comments and some messages of people saying they'd been to like steam rallies and seen one of these machines, and you can share it and stuff. Some cool stories of different pieces of equipment people have got from over the years. So. Yeah, that's my random tangent for this week, Jude.
Oh, that's fun. That's really fun. Yeah. Shall we move back to, I want to say slightly more modern times, but a building that was built in 2002 in Bristol?
Yes. Any particular building, 2002 in Bristol?
Yeah. Come on, we've only been talking about this less than half an hour ago.
Is this the Balfour Beatty job?
This is the Balfour Beatty job.
Do you know what? I know so little about the case. I didn't even know where it was, what year it was, or anything like that. I thought you were just saying name a building from 2002 in Bristol. Name a building
from 2002 in Bristol. I mean, I just left. Funnily enough, so I left Bristol. I want to say I left Bristol in November '99. So.
Were they building this building at the time then?
I don't know. I was living and working in some very rough pubs and some very rough areas. I think I was Staple. Oh, actually, I'll tell you where I was living. I was living in Staple Hill, which is where the fire in the superstore killed Fleur Lombard. Oh,
and we talked about this before.
We have talked about Fleur Lombard.
Was it the anniversary?
It was the anniversary. We talked about the fire on her anniversary. She was the first female firefighter killed in the line of duty. And in Staple Hill, where I used to live, where I worked in pubs.
Yeah.
Where I worked in some incredibly rough pubs. Staple Hill, fish ponds, places that sound delightful.
They do sound delightful, yeah.
No, fish ponds is where one of my friends had somebody glassed in front of her, which is why she stopped being a landlady.
Oh gosh.
That was quite a rough pub.
Oh, bloody hell.
I have many pub stories. Let's not go down that road though, because that'll take all the time up.
We should cover this building, which so I forget the name of it, and I also don't know much about the building, but what I can fill us in on is the legal stuff that's happening now. So if you have any background context, that will help.
I'll tell you a bit about the building then.
And then I'll bring us up to the Building Safety Act after, because this is a really interesting case to follow if and when it comes through. So
I can give you the information that was in Construction News last week, which was that developer Lendlease is seeking a building liability order, a BLO, against Balfour Beatty for more than £4 million in damages over alleged fire safety defects in a Bristol residential development built in 2002. Technically, in 2001, Lend-Lease Residential, an agent of Lend-Lease, other residential, appointed Cowlin, a company who was then later acquired by Balfour Beatty in 2007, to design and build the scheme. It's named Capricorn Quay. It consists of 2 medium high rises containing 48 flats by the city's waterside. I guess I can probably guess where they are. It's interesting that it's only a medium high rise. That flagged me. Following inspections carried out between September 24 and May 25, several fire safety issues were allegedly discovered, according to documents lodged at London's High Court. This led to Lend-Lease lodging a claim to recoup its remediation costs, presently £4 million, from Balfour Beatty. The building faults. In its claim, Lend-Lease alleges faults in the construction that include compartmentation defects in the external wall insulation system, missing fire barriers at the concrete floor slab level and in some locations below the concrete floor, and then the use of loose bulk insulation or expanding foam instead of cavity barriers, incorrectly installed fire barriers. That was very loud. Are you turning the heating on? Are you turning it off?
I leant on a thing and it turned on. I'll put the toys down.
Don't touch the things that beep when we're videoing and recording. We can't cut it out anymore. Basically, as a result of the defects in compartmentation and fire stopping, fire could spread in a concealed manner both vertically and horizontally in the building. There was defects in the timber cladding system and the other structural wall system. Timber cladding over kingspan insulation boards, combustible insulation, and various different bits and pieces. Experts have recommended, experts, that's kind of people like us apparently, have recommended remediation works take place across the wall systems, including the full removal and replacement of EWI systems back to the sheathing boards. So tell me about what a BLO means, a building liability order, because obviously, so I didn't say because it wasn't really about the building, but Cowlin, who were then acquired by Balfour Beatty and renamed Balfour Beatty Construction, were, I keep saying mothballed, but that's not the word, is it? They were.
Is it dormant as a company now?
Yeah, they were made dormant. So they don't own any stock. They don't own any. They have no money. It's just a name. Yeah, it's just a dormant company. And because Lend-Lease want to go back and say, we want to sue somebody for this money to make this building right. Because they're dormant, they're going after the owner.
Yeah.
The owner company.
Perfect. Let's start there, actually, because that's the crux of a building liability order, right? It's a really interesting new legal mechanism that's come about following the Building Safety Act. So this is actually an article of the Building Safety Act that allows this to happen. And whenever I talk about law or teach law or study or practice law, I always try to just simplify it to the most simple terms possible, right? So consider I've asked you to build me something. I've given you some money and said, will you build this thing for me? And I get a thing from it and you get some money from it. Simple transaction. I built
your building really badly. Yeah. Thank you for my big pot of money. Yeah. I'm off to the sun.
Yeah, perfect, right? Sometime later, I've realised that what you've built me isn't what I asked for. In this case, it's got some fire safety defects. Whatever it is, it's not to the sufficient quality. I've come back to you and said, there's some more work to be done here. I need some money so I can fix it. In this case, £4 million. Could you owe me that money, right?
Oh, but I don't have the money anymore, and I don't do that job anymore, and I'm just sitting in the sun.
Yeah. So you've said we don't exist anymore, right? And that's broadly what's happened here, right? So party A, the client here, Lend-Lease, has said to Cowlin, this organisation, or Balfour Beatty Construction, whatever they were called at the time, can you build us a building? They've gone and done it. It's since been determined that actually it's not been done quite correctly. Allegedly, this is all kind of what we're reading in the press. And it now needs to be remediated to the tune of £4 million. So party A has gone to party B and said, you owe us £4 million. And party B said, we don't exist anymore. Right? Yeah. Now, liability is a bit of an interesting topic, right? Because liability only exists if you have a limited company. So if you had Not All Fire Limited, which we're not, because we're not a company, but if you were a trading company called Limited, it means you're limited by shares. Okay. If you shut that company down, your liability does disappear. In truth, you can dissolve that company and it can disappear, right? Which means you've got no one to chase. So in our little scenario you and I just did there, Jude, you could go, I don't exist anymore. You're chasing something that doesn't exist. We're dormant. You've got to run away and find someone else, or just do it yourself.
I want to say, did I see something that a particular type of company that they were? No, I wanted to say that they had some different names, so they weren't necessarily a limited company. They were something else. But because they're
Right.
dormant, it doesn't matter. They still exist. They just don't have any holdings. They just don't own money. They don't own property. They don't have employees. It's just a name.
Yeah. So that company right now still exists, but what we could infer is they don't have 4 million quid to pay out. They're not an active trading company. They're not doing anything, right? And that is how it's always worked in terms of chasing somebody or a company that you believe has liability. So they're liable to you to either give you an equitable remedy or for you to prosecute if it's criminal law, right? So that in its simplest form is what's happened here. So Party A is not happy with Party B. They're going to chase Party B, say you owe some money. Party B have said, I don't exist anymore. You can't come after me. Now, 2022, the Building Safety Act comes in. We all know the Building Safety Act has changed the industry completely. In some ways good, in some ways not so good, in some ways it's still to be found out, but it's done lots of different things. And Article 130 of the Building Safety Act introduced what's called a BLO, which is a Building Liability Order. So what a Building Liability Order says is that in circumstances like the one we've just described, the complainant or somebody who has that kind of opportunity to try and reclaim funds from somebody else can apply to the High Court or to any High Court and say, can I get a BLO against this organisation? Can I get a building liability order? And what that building liability order means is that part of the organisation doesn't exist, but there is a parent company that exists or an associated company. They are still a trading organisation. Can I seek liability or retribution from another part of their organisation? And if that's issued, it means you can raise that same claim against a partner company, sister company, parent company, whatever the organisation structure is, to reclaim your funds. If you can demonstrate that actually they are closely linked enough and that they may have at the time shared assets and things like that.
Yeah, because there's precedent for this as well now. So there's precedent, which is something along for it's about shifting liability across contractors.
Yeah.
So and I want to say it was URS Corporation Limited and BDW Trading Limited saw the Supreme Court back developers to recover costs for defects in buildings they no longer own. So it's kind of similar in the fact that because this has happened before, because there's precedent, like we talked about a couple of weeks ago when the fight that happened in 1870. Because because there's precedent, it means we don't necessarily need to. If we can agree that it's kind of the same as it was then, well, it's obviously got to apply here.
Yeah. So it's exactly that, right? And in this case, the BLO has been applied. I think it's been applied for. I don't know if it's been issued. I don't know exactly where we're at in terms of the article coming out and the news breaking. I think Lend-Lease have applied for a building liability order to the High Court to say, we believe there's sufficient evidence that another section of, in this case, Balfour Beatty, actually is still operating and we can pursue the parent company for what's owed from this job from 4 million quid from 15 years ago or how long ago it was.
I don't think it's been agreed yet.
No, I think it's been applied for, and that's the article. It'll be an interesting case to track to see if that is issued by the High Court, and if it is, whether the case continues and whether it's successful or who it's successful for.
Yeah. Now, the other interesting bit is, and which I know you're going to talk about in next month's IFA talk, which is the Defective Premises Act, because the Defective Premises Act has gone from 6 to 15 years, and includes a year retrospective period.
Yeah.
So that's massive for building back in the day.
Yeah. Absolutely. And one point that's really important for anyone who doesn't work in the kind of construction side of things or isn't client facing. I know so many engineers that in the stage of their career, they don't engage with clients or do checks on them, nor have they worked in construction, right? It's really common that you get a company established for a project. So if you have an organization like a contracting firm, it's very, very common that if you search them on Companies House, they will have 40 companies. But they're not companies, they're projects, and each project is set up as its own standalone company. That then becomes the management company for the build afterwards. So all of the liability and all of the funds are tied into that one limited company, right? It's so common. I credit check every client I work with, right? And I do a company's house check. I have people that do it for me. They send me reports, right? And one of the things they tell me is how many limited companies do they have on company's house? Some of them have got hundreds.
Oh my goodness.
And they have hundreds because that's all of their projects set up. But consider that, right, Jude, for a second. So you and I decide we're going to chuck some money together. Go in your back pocket. How much cash have you got? I'll match it. We'll go buy a Twix probably, but like we'll go buy a plot of land and we'll build a bloody high-rise building, right? You and I probably wouldn't do that without setting up some sort of structure for that project. We would set up a limited company called Joe and Jude High Rise Limited, and that would be where we put the funds into. That company, that limited company, can then hire an architect, pay the funds, buy the materials, and have it, and then it can sell the company, and for some profit, you and I can close that company down, take the profit, move on with our lives. Now, if there was a problem with that building, who do they come after? They don't come after Joe or Jude because we shut the company down. You go after a company that was shut down, it was dissolved on company's house, it doesn't exist, there's no liability until 2022. Because now, under Article 130 of the Building Safety Act, somebody who has a problem with that defective premises could say, go to the High Court and say, can I get a building liability order against Organisation A, Organisation B, because Joe and Jude are directors of those. We know that's where they took the money out, and actually we're going to pursue them because even though they shut the company down, we know they're still active. We can go after them.
Oh my goodness, that's Oh, I mean, I really like that because in much as we are all like to think we're all honest and everything, and the world is a very happy place, there are an awful lot of unscrupulous people.
Sure.
Who do things like that.
I'd
my
agree.
Goodness.
So the Building Safety Act, something that I've studied.
I didn't realise people did that.
Oh mate, it's so common.
I'm shocked.
Anytime I get a new client, right, I have people that do a background check and they send the report to me, and one of the things it says is how many companies do they have on company's house. And if that number is really high, it's a bit of a red flag. It's one of the negative indicators for us to say perhaps we need to be a little bit careful with these, and we credit check each of the companies and that. Yeah.
Something to add to my list of things to do. I mean, fortunately, most of my clients are quite long. I've been with them for a very long time. So,
yeah. But building liability orders, they're an interesting part of the Building Safety Act. For me, it's one of the biggest kind of. I mean, I've reviewed and read the Building Safety Act cover to cover by this stage. I've probably over the last few years of using it, I've read every section, but I've not studied it. I don't know it back to front. I'd love to study it, and on this show, I'd love to do a thing where we analyse different sections. And the first one of those we can consider to have been analysed now is Article 130, because building liability orders, I think, is one of the most obvious changes it made, where you go, I can see why you've done that. Yeah, totally.
Oh, absolutely.
Some of the planning gateways and stuff, I kind of go, crikey, what have you done here? Like, oh my God, why have you put the wasps in a jar and shook it? That's a bit crazy. But building liability orders, there's good reason for those coming in. I can see why.
That's amazing, because of course, loads of people do that. And it's the same in anything. If you have a business and they just go, do you know what, I'm just going to shut the doors.
Yeah.
What do you do? But now you've got, all right, in this specific case of construction, but now you've got potential comeback against. That's fantastic. Oh, well done. Yeah. Well done, the government.
Oh, I thought you were saying well done to me then, Jude, for my lovely description of a building liability order. But well done to the government. Joe, the government get a shout out this week.
Did well.
That was a good one, though. I like that news piece this week that came out. I think it was a couple of weeks ago, in fact.
Out last week,
gave us the opportunity to analyse something quite deep that we wouldn't otherwise have touched on. So we're always looking for those, aren't we? But it was a nice one this week. Oh,
that's really cool. No, I really didn't realise that's why they'd brought it in, but it made total sense. Why would you not want to go after the person who'd stolen all your money?
Quite right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. I said I'm going to a heritage building on Thursday.
Yes, you are.
And I will obviously be putting everything I learned in your webinar into practice. Actually, what's really interesting is that one of the reasons I'm going to this particular property, and it is quite historic, it is quite grade 1 listed, is that somebody went in, I think they did a fire risk assessment and a fire door survey, and they said all the doors had to be changed. Classic. So let me just change all your 400-year-old doors for lovely, beautiful FT30S. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to go in and have a look and have a chat and see what can be done.
Did you see that door I presented in the webinar? Because I talked about, like, that's one of my bugbears.
The oldest door in Westminster Palace.
Oh, it's such a good story. So I googled when I was writing those slides, the oldest door in Britain, because I thought I'll start there, and if I can't find it, I'll start with the second oldest. Eventually, I'll find an old door. So I googled the oldest door in Britain, and I found it on a website, and it was at Westminster Abbey, I think, and I forget the age of it, but it's like 1,000 years old or whatever. It's crazy. But there was a trace of human skin on it. Did you pick up on that in the webinar? Oh, this was so interesting, right? So I've said it tonight already, but I say it every week. I love history. It's my passion. When I get bored of fire, I'm going to retrain as a historian. That's going to be my life. It kind of already is, but like that's going to be my passion.
This week, this week.
This week, next week, I'm obsessed with space. but no, history has been a passion of mine forever, right? And I love weird history and I love quirky bits. And that door's one of them, right? It had leather on the door, and they believed it was like cow hide or something that they put on to protect it. Skin? So they analysed the bloody thing, and it's human skin. So they started going, what's this all about? And they reckon what happened, right? Hundreds of years ago, somebody had thieved from the church. I think it was a part of it, wasn't originally Westminster. So they bloody flayed them and stuck them on the door, peeled the skin off and put it on, and that's what was on. And they had a sign above it saying cowhide on the outside of this door. Been there hundreds of years, and we've been looking at it. It's human skin. Oh, shocking. Can you imagine?
I mean, in the olden days, we used to people would be hung, drawn, and quartered. They'd be hung, they'd be drowned. There's all sorts of things that we used to do in history to people.
Yeah, absolutely. Good pub, that, hung, drawn, and quartered, just around the back of the Tower of London, innit? But yeah, no, your heritage door, sorry. So someone's gone in and said it hasn't got a certificate, so rip it out. I bet it's about that thick, though. Is it mahogany, giant?
I'm going to say probably. I went on to said building's website and there is an internal tour that you can take of said building, and they look quite good. So as in they look quite thick and probably fine. So
burn for about a month, let alone 30 minutes probably with the massive old doors you've got. Yeah.
It's we talked about it with Carissa, didn't we? It's just about being sensible and being sensible.
Yeah. So, the first thing I always do with those, and it was a question I got, and I've had a few email exchanges with folks that dial into these sessions, as I usually do, and one of them was talking about doors, and he says, I do fire door inspections, and I think I might be doing them wrong. Can you help me out with how to do them? And that was fair. You know, we had a bit of a chat.
Cool.
No, it's perfect, because he's like, I don't really know this thing, and he'd been told you should do char rate calculations through the door, and that tells it, and I was like, it's partly true, and it can be helpful, but really, you should do this first. And I said, the first thing I always try and do if someone says that door is I try to justify it not being a fire door.
Yeah.
Like, do I need it to? Can I redraw the compartment lines? Can I put a lobby on it? Can I do something that means I'm not reliant on that being a fire door? Only if I'm satisfied it definitely needs to be it opens into a stair or whatever. Then do I start doing some engineering analysis? But the first question is,
does it need to be a fire door? Does it need to be a firewall? Does any of it need to be fire rated?
Yeah. And in fact,
is it just a museum?
I've been on site today in a school having a very similar thing. I won't have time to tell you about the site. It was a cool one, but it was a construction site, and it was the same thing. They were going, we've done all this fire stopping up here, that head detail, and I was looking at it, and I was going, it's not even a firewall. It looks, don't get me wrong, it looks fantastic, but it doesn't need to be fire rated. And it's no problem to over provide, but putting the stickers on and stuff, in future, someone's going to come along and think, oh, that's a firewall, clearly, but why is that hatch there? You need to, and it's going to create a breakdown of information in future.
That's exactly the same as I had. Was it last week or the week before last, where I went to one of my sites in Basildon, and the fire door team were on site from the contractor, and I was like, oh, that's cool. What are you doing? And he said, oh, we're just easing and adjusting a load of the fire doors. And he said, we've just taken off that one and needs to adjust it, but I don't really think it needed to be a fire door. It's got a label on, but there's a massive big hatch there next to reception. And I was like, let me. I'll tell you what I'll do now. I will draw up the compartmentation drawings, and then I will send them to your boss, and then he can send them to you, and then we can work out which doors actually need to be fire doors, because there's no point in you spending 45 minutes taking a door off, packing out the hinges, easing and adjusting, if it doesn't need to be a fire door.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
in fact, I know how I'm going to finish this episode, if you'll permit me.
Oh, my goodness me.
Because I'm going to take you on a walk again. I'm so excited that we have a video podcast now. This is so cool. I can show you things. For anyone who isn't on the video, though, unfortunately, you won't see the stuff, but I'll describe it, right? Am I okay to take you for a walk for the last minute of the show?
Do it.
Awesome. Right, so
are you going to show me your terrible fire doors that swell and...
Yeah. I am. That's exactly
Shrink.
what I'm going to show you, Jude, right? So come out. Oh, gosh, how do I get out? I thought I was locked in then, mate. I was locked in. Right. So down here, right, the end of this corridor, I have a fire door. The end of the corridor.
Oh, what?
Right. And look what's happened, okay? Just because of what you were talking about there, I thought was interesting. The door stops. It doesn't open. And when it does, it doesn't self-close, right? Because it's stuck on the bottom of the thing there. So for anyone who's listening, not watching, I've opened the door, but it's stuck on the thing. And what's happened to it, I noticed, is, and I should say as well, if I take you around here, oh, it's dark. Has everyone gone home? Is it just me sat here? I'm now in the stair. Not the best thing, because the lights are off. So that's the stair door, right? But let me show you what's happened. Really simple little fix.
Where's the hinge dropped?
Joe doesn't need a new fire door, it turns out. Look at the gap there. It's that hinge.
Your hinge has dropped. It's come out.
Hinge has dropped. So all we need to do is tighten up the hinge and fix the fire door.
And I moaned about that when I was in last Monday when we were trying to record. Hi, Poppy. Hi, Monty.
I think the dogs thought I was knocking on the door. I was actually just trying to fix it. There you are. There's the guys to finish up.
Hi there. Look at you two wagging.
So yeah, I've got fire doors to fix in my own site here. I'll have to do that this week at some point. But it's the same as you've just said. It's a simple little couple of screws, tighten them up.
Simple fix. Simple fix.
Yeah. There we go.
Oh, thanks, Joe. Well, I hope you've enjoyed watching the first episode. As I say, this next week's episode. Oh. Well, Joe and I are now going to discuss off air how on earth we're going to manage the next 2 weeks. But hopefully we'll have video episodes going onwards. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. See you guys all next week. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks for watching. That's a new end to it. I love it because we've always put thanks for listening, J&J, on the sign-off. Yeah. So thanks for watching. Jude, it's been a pleasure. I will see you in another time zone probably next week, but we'll do it again. See you later.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Bye now.